if you're 19 to 21 and you have some sort of goals or want to do something cool and are also willing to work hard, then this is my suggestion to you. If you don't want to work hard, then like, don't bother. So first thing is, I think it's a pretty safe assumption to make that in order to do cool stuff of some scale, it requires a lot of effort. Now, when I hear people say, ah, I want to work smart, not hard, I want to enjoy life, I hear this from people who they spend their evenings on their bed laying, staring at the ceiling, scrolling Instagram reels, watching like sad boy shit, and listening to depressive music, thinking about why their life is so hard and why they aren't what they want to be. So, not very productive. I think on the working smart versus hard thing, when you're young, you basically have no skills, or there's an incredible skill deficiency, and so you haven't really earned the right to work smart. You have to go through a lot of volume and like work really hard to be able to work smart. And also like there's two, I guess, ends of the spectrum here. If you choose just working, like you could just work hard, but like that only works out assuming you're competing against people who are hard workers but stupid. Or you can decide to eventually, like when you can, work smart and not hard, and that works if your like competition is smart but lazy. And in reality, in most things, if you want to do like, I don't know, do well in university, or like in your career, or if you start a business, or if you're an artist, or want to do professional sport, you'll probably come across people who work both smart and hard. And so that's sort of a requirement to some degree. Yeah, so then the suggestion is I think you have to like work really hard to then earn the right to work smart. So that's the first thing. Like, assuming you sort of understand what you want to do, the next thing I think is like you're faced with three options. Well, there's really two options, but it's a third option. Firstly is either just do the thing you want to do. So whether it's like start a startup or a business, then just start it yourself. Or second option I would say is you like work for free or work or learn from people doing that thing to a very high degree. So for example, like start or joining a startup, working for some founder, working in some small business, joining like a really competitive sports team in the thing you're doing. Those are like the first two options, which like you can argue for and against. And the third option is obviously just don't do either of those two and just cope and convince yourself that you'll do one of those two things eventually. Which probably won't happen. It probably won't happen, to be honest. So yeah, so once you make that choice of like one of those three options, we know you have to work hard. I think a third part is that can be very helpful is with the assumption that you want to like you will probably have to work quite like a lot of volume. You're gonna have to think through like what are the trades you're willing to make in order to do more volume. It's like for example like giving up watching Netflix, giving up stupid Instagram reels. If you scroll TikTok, don't scroll TikTok. Like I think that's pretty that's pretty simple. Maybe it means you stop going out on Friday nights because like when you go on a Friday night, you lose that evening or that night of potential work. Then you sleep in, so you lose the Saturday morning. Then you might, I don't know, go to the gym or eat food. You feel like shit. And by the time you know it, it's like the midday or afternoon, and you've already lost most of your day just because of going out on Friday night, which is not very helpful, I'd say. Maybe you give up on dating. Maybe you like there's a bunch of trades you can be willing to make in order to work harder. So I think that's the suggestion I'd say is you should be very conscious of what those things are and then just execute on those things. Right, so to summarize, I'd say the three things. we know that to do cool things, it requires hard work. That's step number one. Then step number two is making the choice whether to do it yourself and or learn from people doing it to a high degree. And of course, third option is just to pussy out and do neither. And then third thing is, given the assumption they're going to work very hard, what are the trades, or be conscious of the trades you're willing to make to do that thing. And I think just know that it doesn't have to be forever, and it can just be for a season of 3, 6, 12 months, for example. So yeah, those are a few things I've found helpful.